The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of National Defence.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and it's indeed an honour to be able to again be in the House to discuss the situation in Ukraine. Someone of Ukrainian heritage and someone who has riding that has a large percentage of people that are part of the Ukrainian diaspora. This is an issue that is not only near and dear to us as Ukrainian Canadians, but it is something that is of great concern to all Canadians from coast to coast to coast. You know, I have to thank the Prime Minister. His leadership on this file is head and shoulders above most other world leaders. His strong role in making sure that we are there to support Ukraine and their people as they got rid of a very corrupt president in Viktor Yanukovych. The Prime Minister spoke with clarity. He was there at the inauguration of the new government and has been there every step of the way whenever we met with President Poroshenko, and making sure that we provide the aid that Ukraine has requested of Canada. You know, this debate originally, when we started this discussion tonight, was about the training mission that the Canadian Armed Forces are going to be undertaking. And I can tell you that I'm so proud of our brave men and women who serve in the Canadian Armed Forces for the outstanding work they do day in and day out here in Canada and around the world. And their capabilities and their expertise and what they're bringing to the table in Ukraine is desperately needed. When you think about Ukraine under Viktor Yanukovych, he allowed the Ukrainian military to atrophy. A country of 54 million people only had a stand-up army of 5,000 troops. So after the Maidan, after the elections, and then ultimately the invasion and occupation and the illegal annexation of Crimea by the Putin regime in Russia, and then ultimately the fighting that we're seeing now in the Donbass of eastern Ukraine, Ukraine does not have the capabilities or the individuals to be able to go out there and fight. So they may have a fighting force today of 40 to 45,000 troops, but we have to remember these are all fresh recruits. These are new volunteers, and they haven't had the basic training that most people in the military get here in Canada. So even though they're battle hardened, they still lack those tactical skills at an individual and unit level. And so it is great that our armed forces are going over to provide this much needed training, that we'll be able to do it at a battalion group at a time. Now we're doing it, of course, in collaboration with the United Kingdom and the United States at the Avariv base that Canada actually helped build several years ago in western Ukraine, only a few kilometers from the Polish border and 1,300 kilometers away from the fighting that we see in the Donbass. So our men and women in uniform who are going to be over there doing the training are relatively been removed from harm's way. Now I know that the opposition has brought up this issue of corruption and the concern that this is taking place. Well, I want to remind all members in the House, Mr. Chair, that we have a situation where Canada has signed on with the United States and the United Kingdom to the Ukraine Joint Commission on Military Cooperation and Reform. And we are leading the subcommittee in that commission on military policing to deal with the exact problem of corruption within Ukraine's military. As Minister of National Defence has already pointed out, President Poroshenko has been doing an illustration trying to remove what they call the fifth column from the Ukrainian government and from the Ukrainian military, and we have to be there to support them, and that's what the military police are doing. That's what some of the money that we've put in, $575 million, has gone towards helping with illustration, helping with best practices, remove corruption, and respect for human rights and the rule of law. I also want to say that you know, the military equipment that we have delivered, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to actually go there to ensure that that military was handed over in a formal fashion from Canada to the Ukrainian Armed Forces, that we have people over there that have done great work, like Lena Kozarny, who is a Canadian that lives in Ukraine. She's an accountant. She was there to make sure that all aid gets delivered, working with our ambassador, Roman Waschuk, and then they're volunteers to track all that movement, Mr. Chair. So I want to give a big shout out to them for making sure that our great military equipment is getting into the right hands and being well used.